Welcome to the CRE Marketing Hub coaching session. I think we're having a little bit of a delay with some people getting online, so we're just going to hold for a few minutes. It seems like we finished the last session and still waiting for some people to get back on and others to join. So for those of you who are on the call, just please sit tight and we'll be right back with you as soon as we have the rest in the room.
While we're waiting, Jeff, what else did you cover on the last session?
So the earlier session was like just a getting started session. So that was just people getting signed up, configured, organized. We went into a few different use cases just to show how the prompts worked and where they should go for what, and took down a couple of interesting scenarios.
Good, good.
It looked like, just had a note that one of the presenters had a little bit of difficulty getting in the room, so he should be on momentarily. And as soon as he joins, we will be good to go. Ross, are you there? Jeff is in the room. Ross, are you available? Ross, we can't hear you. I think we've got some feedback coming in from your end.
Can you hear me?
Now you're loud and clear. You've got
All right.
got
Cool,
the headset on now, I can tell.
All right. We are rocking and rolling. Let's see here.
Let's get rolling. Let's get to it. And thrilled to have our mastermind session for CRE Marketing Hub. Jeff Finn and Demetrius Mujotis are here with Dr. Jeffrey Fisher and Ross Jones. So
Hey.
Ross on video. Jeff, you want to get on video? You guys are the mastermind, so I'll let you present and take over. Ross, I'm going to let you start. Ross is the co-founder of CRE Marketing Hub and now working in growing a platform called Landverse AI, so a master and expert in AI, all things AI. Jeff, Professor Emeritus from Indiana University and one of our partners here, has written the textbook on real estate investment and real estate valuation. So he's going to talk about underwriting and using AI tools to build incredible OMs and analyzing properties. But Ross, give us sort of the big picture. Where did this all come from? What was the sort of the goals and your thinking of, and what are you thinking about when you talk about AI and commercial real estate? So how can our audience take full advantage of all the tools that are out there? And of course, CRE Marketing of it at the center of it. But I'm going to turn it over to you. If you have anything to present, I'll give you controls and you have the screen.
Okay, yeah, I'm just presenting a voice and an ugly face. But other than all right, Jeff Fisher, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Ross.
You're looking very comfortable there. I wish I had your shirt on right now. This is nice. This is nice. Well, the thing that I love about AI is it's a force multiplier. And whenever you're working, it's always good to have some help. And one of the hardest things from running a marketing business for a long time has been getting really good, consistent help that didn't require a lot of work, like tons of work to get them up to speed and do all those things, because the knowledge work is just very challenging. Well, with starting with my wife when 2016, when she got into commercial and we were about to make our big splash, we really didn't have the income. I had lost 80% of my income because a big client of mine had, just didn't need my services or want my services or whatever. And I started to use my digital marketing skills to accelerate her in our local marketplace, which was Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach. And she really, really got to the top of Google and started getting all kinds of calls. And I realized that there was a gap in the marketplace for personal branding, marketing, those type of things, because commercial can be very analytical, and a lot of the element of communicating the value that you have at scale was not really there. So we started taking her PR background, my media background, and we started really pushing it toward how do we get our clients, or how do we get commercial agents out there in a way how the internet is actually working right now. How do we get them to where they're making videos by different scripts and by different methods that are proven methods for conversion and for persuasion? And I love studying that stuff. So I started putting all of my energy into helping her grow her business. And then we started helping other clients, other people that were coaches or realtors or brokers. And we started bringing the same methodologies into that field. And then ChatGPT, or actually it was before ChatGPT, there was different tools that were starting to percolate, because copywriting is a big part of marketing, as you know. So, and the LLMs, large language models, of course, were already mastering language and copywriting. So I started getting into those, and then it just took off because the powers that kept accelerating and kept growing, and its capabilities kept growing, accuracy kept growing, and all those things. So we started saying we need a marketing hub for commercial people. So we put in the CRE Marketing Hub, and the rest is history. And it just started doing cool things, and now we're doing Landverse and building different verticals for different verticals. The same thing, really focusing on education and multimodality. I think is the biggest miss that's missed right now in the world of AI, is the fact that what you can see and what you can hear in far as pictures, images, videos is being underutilized in the space. So I've changed my perspective towards that. How do we use these new superpowers of in-depth research and these people that are connecting right now? Like SimilarWeb was just bought by Manus, which is a very deep research company, and then SimilarWeb has its own research that's really amazing, where it knows all the data of where everyone is getting their information from and data. So they've come together and they put another tool together, which has been able to do some amazing things. And I'm hoping to be able to show you some of those things today, and also how to leverage video, images, and those type of things to really get yourself to stand out as a commercial real estate broker or an investor or anything. How do you leverage those things to make things that look good, that follow the key principles of marketing and design and persuasion, and add some hot sauce to your, if you like spicy food, add some hot sauce to your deliverables that you give to the clients. And that's what's exciting me the most nowadays, and that's what we'll be covering today when I get on here and start sharing and all that good stuff.
Excellent. That's a great introduction. Love for you to take a deep dive in that. Maybe Jeff, why don't you give just an overview of what you'll be talking about, then we'll come back around to Ross for his deeper dive.
Okay. Do you want to give me the share for a minute?
Absolutely.
Mark wanted me to go over the agenda real quickly for next week for those that might be able to make it that haven't signed up yet. So show my screen. And which screen are you seeing?
Your desktop. There you go.
You got the agenda now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So AI in Commercial Real Estate Conference. This is next week in Houston. And the keynote is by Dr. Nico Susmilo. And I think I'd consider him, one of the leading experts on AI. He was at the London School of Business, but has kind of decided I'm going to focus strictly on helping people understand how to use AI in real estate. And he's got a blog and just always announcing neat ways of using artificial intelligence. And I certainly learned a lot from looking at his blogs and starting to work with him, finding out things that I could do. And so he's going to be the keynote speaker. And then we got a panel. Well, before that, we have LLMs and prompting techniques with Michael Hieronymus. Hope I'm pronouncing all this right.
You got it. Good.
Yeah, so, and I think one of the important things there, and I think we'll probably talk about that a little bit today, is the importance of structuring the prompt. As it says on the agenda, we're going to have real world use cases, talk a little bit more about, what LLMs are, large language models, but, the anatomy of structuring a good prompt, I think, is really important. If you don't have a good prompt, you're not going to get a good answer. You really want to make sure that you have a well-defined question that you're feeding the AI, whatever it is. Then we have current trends and tools, again with Nico, myself, and Ross, you're on there. So along with a few others, we'll also try to set the stage for what we're going to be doing the rest of the day and for the following week. So the rest of it is really focused on, or at least mostly the rest of it is focused on labs, where we're going to give you a demonstration of how to use, focusing on real estate or focusing on CRE Marketing Hub, how to analyze a lot of different situations, where we're going to first demonstrate how to do it with data that we've put together, that the participants could use, but we've also asked them to bring their own data so that they can follow along after we talk about how to do it and do it with their own data. So I won't talk about each of these in detail, but you see lab one. Actually, we've moved some of these around, but first one listed here, find more opportunities. So building a prospectus engine and generate target outreach sequences using AI to score leads and prioritize efforts, turn market data into insights, etc. And then one that I'll be leading, winning more assignments. So the idea is that you've got data on, property, and you've got information on the historical operating expenses, the rent roll, some comparables, and what you're going to do ultimately after a series of prompts that will show you is get an offering memorandum that you're trying to win a deal from a client. So you want to have a nice operating memorandum, and including your projected cash flows and rates of return and all that kind of good stuff. Then a couple more labs, winning deals with AI workflows, build your AI knowledge base, working lunch, and a bonus session for those that haven't been worn out yet. Where good chance to ask a lot of questions again with Mark and Nico. Anything you want to add to that, Jeff?
No, except I think it's going to be fantastic. We've got a great audience. It's really hands-on. So the idea is not to be so much just talking from the front, but sitting at tables, small round tables with small groups, breaking down the whole group into teams by specialty. So to the degree that we have a tenant rep group or multifamily group or logistics group, whatever it might be, people that are within the same type of specialties to be able to work on similar type of use cases and learn from each other and from the instructors as they sit and get hands-on with the team. So
yeah, and we really encourage you to bring your own data. We'll have our data that you can work with, but if you bring your own data, and even if it's not as complete a data, ChatGPT is good at telling you, if you gave me this data, I'd be able to do a better job. I've made the mistake of asking a question and forgetting to feed it the data. It says, well, I could give you a good answer if you just put this data in. And
well, that's an interesting thing, Jeff, and we'll talk more about it, but like ChatGPT can tell you how to tell it to do better. And so it's like, what didn't I ask you? What should I be asking? How do we take this? This might be good. How do I make it great? And how do we make it world class? How do we position this if we were the the best broker, the best advisor, the best tenant rep. And so it's saying things like that give you a different answer. It might give, this is out of the box, here's something good, but I can always give you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just like you did. So,
using AI is like having a conversation with somebody, right? It can go all different directions depending on, how the conversation goes, and what information you provide. And so it's not a super structured thing, but we'll try to structure the prompts that you would feed to try to get the answer that you want for each of these labs.
and as you say that, Jeff, let's make this a conversation too. So the mics are open if anyone wants to chime in and ask a question along the way. But Ross, why don't we turn it back to you? And if you need the screen, let me know, because I'd love to see some of the things that you're working with, some of the tools that you're using, and how you're thinking about and how you'd be able to or want to share with the group.
Yeah,
Best practices. What's happening? How do they take this opportunity to the next level in their business?
Okay, let me see. I'm opening. Okay, so when it asks me to, it has me open up my settings, and then it said I have to quit, go to webinar, and come back on.
Don't have settings for presenting.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump out and jump back in? You want us to jump? We can keep with Jeff for a minute and let you come back.
Let me do
Jeff,
that real.
get back to you. And
I'm not sharing the screen anymore, right? Oh, you want me to? Okay.
just give it back to you.
It wasn't working with Ross sharing the screen?
There was a go to meeting conflict with his controls. It needs
okay.
to open.
All right. Well, let me show you one thing. I've got a couple different things, and depending on your questions, we can do different things. So I put this together. Let me put it in the show screen here. And let me reverse this. Okay. I put this together yesterday because and I kind of talked about this already, but the importance of using CRE Marketing Hub, versus just using one of the AI programs without the benefit of all the knowledge and instructions that we've put into CRE Marketing Hub. Maybe Ross is better talking about, what all is in there than me, but the idea is with a standard prompt, you're not getting the benefit of a lot of different instructions and knowledge and expertise that's already been built into the GPT that you don't see, but when you put in a prompt, you're doing a lot more than just getting the answer you would get if you put a prompt in that wasn't going into a custom GPT like CRE Marketing Hub. With CRE Marketing Hub and a custom GPT, you've got all kinds of samples of how to build different, whether it's spreadsheets or OMs or marketing brochures, et cetera, and you've got instructions that are there to say if this kind of question is asked, here's what you should do. And so you've got, as it says here, custom instructions, a knowledge base. And I know Mark has just loaded a ton of different documents into there. I think even some examples of, if you ask to do an Argus analysis, here's what it should look like. And, so you've got that specialized content as well as some custom actions that can guide you in the right direction. So I just wanted to emphasize that, even though we're putting in prompts when we do different exercises, when we're using CRE Marketing Hub with a custom GPT, you're getting the benefit of just a lot more information and effort that's been put into building that than you would if you just use any of the AI programs by themselves. Ross, does that make sense?
Well, 100%. And I love the compliance aspects too, because that's super important, like writing emails and it gives you the thing at the bottom that tells you you can opt out, and those type of little things that regular ChatGPT probably would not do because it's not aware of the compliance necessities of a commercial broker. And so that's something that I think is super great and important and beneficial. And the languaging too, which is really important because that's the quickest way to lose a deal if you're speaking residential language. And what we found in the beginning of this and was that whenever we would talk about real estate, it would immediately go because it's trained in all of the all of the wisdom of the internet and all the knowledge of the internet. So it would just go straight to residential language. And you know, just that if you are talking to a investor or to a commercial person, and you start talking about open houses and, you know, whatever, that residential language, it just screams amateur hour. So that was the first thing, is that you're not going to get that problem. And so you're going to be speaking the same language of your ideal client, because you're using something that has been programmed to have specifically do not use residential language. And you don't have to worry about that. So every conversation you're having is going to bring out things that makes you aligned with your ideal client, which is really cool about the custom GPTs and all of that, everything that's in the CRE Marketing Hub, because that's the biggest problem, is making things specific. And that's why people give up on using AI a lot of times, because, well, like you're saying, Jeff, the first thing is they're not structuring the prompts right.
Yeah.
You know, and then the second thing is they don't have custom GPTs with guardrails set up so that they're not always leaving the reservation there. And so that is always going to be beneficial if you're trying to have speed, which I think is super important in business. You need to go fast, and you need to know that you're going to be accurate. You need to know you're going to be aligned, and those are the things that the CRE Marketing Hub is really, really, really good with. You know that you're aligned, you know you can move fast, you know you've got some compliance regulations built in there. And now with what Mark's put in there with the Argus type stuff and all the data that he's thrown in there too, it gives it a more robust data pool to pull from, so that you're getting the experience of tons of really great brokers. And the biggest thing, which we always try to do when we're teaching marketing, is pull from your history of what you have done, and you turn that into deals, right? You can turn all of this knowledge of when this deal went good, when this deal went bad, when this deal was, I learned a huge lesson. You can take those and turn those into stories, either with words or with video or with audio, and you can put those out there, and that will demonstrate for you to your potential ideal client that you know what you're talking about. And when you're running those thought processes and those ideas through a custom GPT or something like CRE Marketing Hub, your ability to stay connected to the mind and the language of the investor or the commercial broker or the person who's looking to open up a business is going to be much, much better than it would if you were just doing it with ChatGPT. It can be done with ChatGPT, but there's so much more work that has to be done. Even like
Ross, this comes up all the time, and I'd love for you to share. How do I do that in CRE Marketing Hub? How do I, we are training it at the sort of the enterprise level for the aggregate of all of the users. But if Jim or Chris or the people that are on the call, they want to say, I wanted to know about me. I wanted to know who I am, all of my value. How do I speak? How do I think? What's the special knowledge that I have? Who is my ideal prospect? Who have I done business with? All of that stuff. How do I get it? How do I load that in? Do that knowledge transfer to make the system out of the gates as smart as it can be. Certainly with each prompt and each session that you run, it's going to get smarter. But is there some pre-population, some pre-work that I should do? And
definitely.
You need the screen for I'll take it. But if you're good to just talk, we'll just have you on.
Yeah, I'll just talk you through a few things on that, which I love that. I love personalization. One of the things that Tracy and I have realized, because we've been using ChatGPT since it came out, right? And so it just is like a second brain. It's like being married, you know what I mean? Where they know what you're going to say, why you're saying what you're saying, where you're going, and reminding you of, hey, you remember you said this about that? What do you want to put this with that? So I encourage people to have their own ChatGPT situation, right? Their own Claude or whatever it is, play with the different LLMs and all that, to have your own separate thing that you can train just in this way. So what I would recommend to people to do is this. You go, whatever you're in, if you're in the CRE Mentor, or if you're whatever you're in ChatGPT, the custom GPTs, because you're speaking commercial language, you're not trying to get a recipe for dinner or anything. You're speaking to a specific need that you have. Say, could you act as a world-class interviewer with tons of years of experience, or just 10 years of experience interviewing commercial real estate professionals and businessmen and investors, and ask me questions that would help you to understand me and my history and my background and how I can leverage that to market dominance or to getting known better or to helping my customers better. When you ask AI to ask you questions about yourself, I did that this morning, actually. I asked, because I was doing this project or whatever, and I said, okay, I need you to ask me about myself because I'm trying to get this thing happening. And I need you to ask me things that they would ask me or whatever, and just go through that. It's amazing because you only know what you know, right? So if you asking like a Barbara Walters, I'm dating myself for real. If you ask somebody like that, that's a whole different level of skill at asking questions. So you ask you to act as a world-class interviewer who is familiar with investment, commercial real estate, or possibly even your area of your market or your geographical market or your vertical. And then you tell it what the goal is. And the goal is for me to be able to be positioned in my marketplace as, you know, a thought leader, or to get stories, extract stories for me so I can put together content. But I just need you to be thorough, go for it, and ask me a question, right? So then it'll turn into an interviewer.
Yeah. Yeah. In addition, and I don't know if Chat can do this. I know Claude can, but can it read my desktop? Can it read my hard drive? Can it just know all the work that I've done and read my file? So
it can do that. You can upload the documents, but that's where I'm going with that. And I just used that new Claude thing, and it's really cool for that. But the biggest thing with AI is you want to humanize as much as possible, because we're about to get hit with a tsunami of what they call AI slop, right? Everybody just throwing stuff out there that sounds real intelligent. It's going to be ridiculous. So the more you can get it to humanize you first, right? So if you take it away and you just say, hey, go in my hard drive and just find all kinds of data and all kinds of stuff, and just tell me tell me about myself or whatever, right? It's not as good as a conversation, right? It's like getting an email, that's one thing, but a conversation is deeper, right? There's these subtle nuances that happen when you're having a conversation. So having it act as an interviewer, now you're having a conversation. And I use this tool that came out, GenSpark. It is so good. And it's Speakly, I think it's Speakly, but you go to GenSpark, you'll find it. And what it allows you to do is just to hold the FN button or the function button on your keyboard, and it'll start recording and typing out your text. If you're in Gmail, if you're in your email, if you're on Google or whatever. And that's just such a convenient way to do that. So you can just start talking and tell it, hey, I want to give you all this information about myself. What haven't I asked you that I should be asking you? Or what can you ask me to get more clarity? Now, once you got all that information, you copy that and you paste it into a Google document. And you can also tell it, hey, can you write for me something that I can give back to you so that you will always know exactly who I am and what goals I have right now, right? And then it'll structure it in a way, it'll structure it like a prompt, like a really smart way of understanding you that it can understand. You with me still?
yeah, that's what I was wondering. That becomes that's sort of under the hood then for all the stuff that I'm doing. It's not just for the bigger project.
You can connect ChatGPT with your hard drive, but it's a little bit more involved. I think it'll probably improve over time, but right now through the custom GPT, you've got to connect to an external program of some sort. I actually asked it to help me do that last night because I was thinking it'd be neat to automate all the steps in creating the offering memorandum. You know, where it could read each of those files that I actually will be using next week, maybe a little bit today, but so it could go one by one and read the files and create that offering memorandum for you in the background, kind of like an agent. It gave me instructions to do it, but it's not something we at least want to try to do today.
Yeah, and what's really exciting about that, Jeff, is that I love when I run into problems like that, because I know, give it 2 weeks, give it 1 month, and that problem's going to be solved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the image generation, the multimodality. It's like everything that you want. It's like they're hearing you, and AI is just catching up. You know what I mean?
Every week, it's like there's a new model or a new capability, and it's like I tried talking to Nico, and I said, Nico, I wish when it created PowerPoint, it could allow me to edit it. And he said, well, that changed in last week. You know, you can now edit it.
Yes, that's right. The PowerPoint, the Excel stuff is really going off the charts. You know, the cool thing about if you're going to try to get it to understand you in a certain in a certain, like you want to separate your worlds, right? You want to have your personal world separate from your business world, then you can create projects within your chat also, and then feed it that context that you got from having it interview you about certain things, and then you're going to be you'll be really good on that. So that's one way to feed it custom data is through that, and then you can create your own solutions within your own universe. So that's what's so beautiful about it, and that's where they're actually going. Is their goal is to have a personal AI. That's their number one goal. That's what Sam Altman's doing. He's partnered with the guy who built all the really amazing stuff from Apple, and they're looking to put a little pill behind your ear that will be recording all day and be able to communicate with you. But that's just where it's going. Personalization. When they started with memory, I remember how excited I was, and a lot of the community was, that it's because the hardest part was it forgets everything, right? But when it started, at least for your personal ChatGPT, when it started building that memory part up, it was amazing. And that's like one of my favorite things about AI now, that it remembers what I was working on. It remembers what I was doing. And I don't have to go through the whole litany of and re-explaining the context, because now we're moving from prompt engineering to context engineering. And that's one of the greatest things that I've seen as far as changes and things like that go.
Yeah.
So when you
actually ask ChatGPT what it knows about you, it like knows about everything you've been doing. It tells you.
It's Santa Claus. It's like Santa Claus. It knows when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake, and all that.
Personal GPT
one
might
of the first things,
be doing something dumb, right?
one of the first things we have in CRE Marketing Hub is that persona analyzer, your perfect persona. So if you're using it and you're a tenant rep doing 10,000, 25,000 square foot Class A office space in Tampa, for example, that's what I do. Or I'm a leasing agent, and that's what I do. You can, and you're doing mid-rise or medical office, so tell it as much as you can about what you do, where you do it. It's going to come up with that persona. And is that then persona in the background always there when I'm going to my mentor, or do I need to bring that into my mentor and tell my mentor, okay, here's my perfect persona? And as you're thinking about my business plan and strategy for 2026, remember, this is my exact target market.
Right. When I think about the different GPTs there, I think it's good to look at them as different workers that you have, right? Different employees that you got. And so this employee has all this data and knowledge. So if that employee writes that data and knowledge down, he sets it over here in a file, then your other employee can go and pull from that file. So one of the pieces of advice I always give people when you're working in this and you get your persona, have your Google Drive open with your documents open, copy it and paste it into that document and save it so that you have that custom persona, right? You have that persona. So now you can feed that to the mentor. You can feed that to your video script writer. You can feed that to your copywriter, your email writer, so that it writes within that context, because that's literally everything when it comes to AI. So if you look at it like that, I would always encourage people, just as a habit of organization and optimization. So you don't want to leave anything to chance. So I always say, copy it, paste it into a document. If you're going to be going back to that, because most people aren't changing verticals, each day or whatever. And if you're working with clients, you're not working with 1 million clients. You probably got at most 10 at one time or something like that, 10 deals you're juggling. You can make 10 folders and you can run one prompt and get their copy their persona. And then you say, oh, okay, from that persona, I want my social posts. Do the social posts, put it in that folder, in that drive. And then say, I want to run some video scripts. Get those video scripts, copy them, paste them onto another doc, and put it into that folder. So now you have one folder per client and all of the relevant information that you need. And then you can make a project for that inside of your regular ChatGPT account. And you can load all of that data and information into that project along with notes that you've taken from CRM, and you're rocking and rolling then. And now you have a context-heavy environment by which you can really be very hyper specific, and you won't start floating off this way and that way. That's how you make it 100% certain. I don't like to leave too much up to chance when it comes to any of these things. I like to, because I always have this fear that what if they just AI breaks, and what if what I'm saying, something happens and you don't, but you want to be able to keep all of that data and information somewhere other than just ChatGPT or than an LLM of any sort. If it's really important data and it's really good, and you know you can't get this again without AI, I recommend that you kind of have a backup plan by putting it into a Google Drive, into a Google document.
Good.
Excellent. So Jeff, you had some things on the screen there a second ago, and I think you're teasing everybody with it. So maybe we want to come
Okay.
back. How do you get the numbers to
Again, and I'll do that.
this to be your AI calculator and
Yeah.
analyst?
You need to give me the screen share again.
You lost it.
I see you over there. You're trying to come into the screen. Looks like I sit on the edge of the screen.
Off to the side. It's
You got
we're
to
just
slide
desktop.
either left or right.
There you
There
go.
we go.
I don't see where it's asking me.
You've got it, Jeff.
You had it
your
right there.
CRE Marketing Pro was right on the screen a second ago, and now you're discounting.
Maybe because, yeah, I was before. So you're seeing the AI DCF analysis?
Mhm.
Okay, let me make it a little bit larger and switch this. I got two screens, so I gotta play around with this. So, this I think follows up from what we talked about, is the importance of, having the custom GPT to keep you from getting into trouble. So for fun, I did not use the custom GPT. I just took, in this case, Claude, and I took my textbook example where I know the answer is right. At least I think it is, because I've got the same answer in Excel and in Argus. So I fed all the assumptions, the same things that are in the textbook, into Claude and asked for a DCF analysis. So first thing I got, just kind of go to the bottom line here. I got my IRR. Of course, I got all my cash flows and everything over time. I don't want to bore you with going through the details of this, but I got my IRR, and I'm looking for 8.78%, and it's 9.03%. All right, well, that didn't work quite right. Something's wrong. So I started to drill in, and I look at my expense reimbursements, okay, and I've got leases that start renewing in year 3, right? One renews in year 3, one renews in year 4, one renews in year 5. So don't want to put Ross or Jeff on the spot, but do you see any issue with the expense reimbursements? These are based off expense reimbursements that are based on the expenses per square foot when you sign the lease.
Mm.
So what should happen when a lease renews? Should go to 0, right? Because you're starting up again. Your base stop, it's a new lease. So your base stop should be based on the expenses per square foot at the time of the new lease. But Claude didn't know that. It just kept on using the old expense reimbursement, even though it was a brand new lease. So
Wow.
that was number one problem, right? And when I pointed that out to Claude, it said, "Oh, sorry, they should be renewed." So it knew it made a mistake, but I had to point it out to it. Now in a custom GPT, we would make it clear, this is how expense reimbursements work. And some of these things you wouldn't know until you just try a lot of stuff, right, Ross? You would say, "Hey, I tried this and it made this mistake, so I need to build that knowledge into the custom GPT so that the next time it doesn't make that mistake, because it's going to save that information."
That's right. Yeah, and from what I hear, investors don't like when you get the numbers wrong.
Yeah.
They don't
I still had a problem.
Very quickly.
Yeah, my unleveraged rate of return was still too high. So it's like, oh, geez, now what's going on? And so again, I had leases renewing. You notice the first 3 years here, the bank is the base rent. This is the base rent before expense reimbursements. And I don't have any step ups built into this, so it's flat, right? But in year 4, it's increasing every year. Let's look at the bank. So the bank jumps to $1,172,500, which is the market rent at the time of the lease renewal, but then it keeps going up. What was Claude assuming? It was assuming I went to 1-year leases rather than new 5-year leases. Well, I didn't tell it that it had to use new 5-year leases, so I can't really fault Claude, but again, and maybe that's a lesson on giving it good instructions. But I think we'd want to build into the custom GPT that You use the same lease term as the old lease, unless you're told otherwise. We could debate that one. Maybe that's not the best way, but you see my point that you need to be real clear on your instructions, or you're not going to get the right answer. So you need to know what you're looking for. You can't depend on just putting your assumptions into the AI and it's going to give you the right answer the first time. But we're trying to really, as Ross talked about a lot, make sure you do get the right answer the first time by having those guardrails. I like your term guardrails in there. So once I fixed the rent, got the exact same answer as Argus in my spreadsheet. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's what's really good about marketing.
I did a bunch of other stuff just for fun. So kind of talked about that, but I added a loan to see the impacts of leverage. And this is the kind of stuff we can play around with next week, depending on how people want to go with once we create a DCF. But it's like add in a loan. What's that going to do to your levered rate of return? And you can feed in whatever assumptions you want on the loan, what the interest rate is and the loan term and all that kind of stuff. I did a sensitivity analysis where I asked it to look at pessimistic, most likely, and optimistic scenarios, and I didn't tell it what to use. So it came up with reasonable, pessimistic, most likely, or in this case, it calls it worst case, best case, and
base case and best case.
Optimistic. That label doesn't look right. It should be worst case, best case, and then optimistic. Yeah.
It's base and best. So yeah.
Oh, best. Oh, I can't read my own writing. It's Claude's writing. Best case, right. Worst case, best case, base case, best case.
There you go.
I like pessimistic, optimistic, and most likely.
Most likely, I love that.
Analyzed it for me and gave me an assessment of the model assumptions if it made sense. You can see here I said, do you think the assumptions in this spreadsheet are realistic? So this was my textbook from a couple years ago. So just for fun, I said, do you think these assumptions in the spreadsheet are realistic based on current market conditions? Assume that the property is in a small office building in the Houston suburb. And as you can see, it critiqued my assumptions, right? And that's what we want. We want to be able to take, a spreadsheet that we get and feed it into our custom GPT and the CRE Marketing Edge and say, do these assumptions make sense? And then we'll get back a new discounted cash flow analysis. Won't go through all the details, but you can see my revised scenario based on its more realistic assumptions. And then finally, I think this is the last one I asked, how much would you, oh no, there's one more after this. How much would you pay for the property? So it came up with a reasonable price to pay for the property, reasonable cap rate to use. Talked about the risks. Yeah, so there's the implied values, recommended purchase price it gave me. Negotiating points. I know Mark has talked about a lot of this stuff in previous sessions. The last thing I did, Dee, I think Dee might be listening in, mentioned to me, we need to get waterfall into Market Edge. And so I thought, what happens if I just ask for a simple waterfall to be added to my spreadsheet? And you can see what I said here. Could you add a simple waterfall to the spreadsheet? Use my monument office building leverage return spreadsheet where we added leverage to the base case, assume a preferred return at 10%, and above that an 80-20 split between the LP and the GP, and it gave me my waterfall and gave me a nice summary here. So that was kind of quick, but gives you an idea of the kind of stuff that you can do with the AI, and even more with CRE Mentor Pro.
Hey, Jeff, quick question for you. What do you feel the difference, from doing it through the hub and doing it the way before you were doing it with the hub?
Yeah, so like I said before, the CRE Marketing Hub is building all these guardrails and sample documents and examples of how to do the DCF analysis. And, so you're going to be more likely in most cases to get the right answer right away without it making mistakes like I showed you.
And the speed difference?
Mark and I are working on, working on kind of let's try different things and see what kind of additional guardrails we need to add to it. I know Mark has mentioned that during several of the sessions that we're going to get together and try to keep adding that knowledge to it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the underlying architecture too, that it's just by nature going to get smarter because of the engine, right? Being that it's powered by, billions, almost trillions of dollars worth of research and data and power going into that thing to the engine that's under it. And then you put on top of that all the beautiful things of, the Argus data and all those things. It's just going to get better and better and better. It's truly the fastest, most amazing technology that I think we'll ever see.
It's designed for real estate rather than being generic. So
Yeah.
Jeff, where do you want to go next? Ross, did you figure out your screen sharing or?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, we'll give you the control and take it away.
Okay. All right, let me move this out of the way. Okay, main screen. Wait a second here.
There she is.
Oh, yep. Let me get over here. So these are some of the things that that we created that are going to be coming out. I guess I think Mark's going to be putting them out there.
Let's start with a simple truth. Most
Can you hear
brokers
this?
don't
Yeah.
want to.
Okay.
Most commercial listings don't fail because the property is weak. They fail because the marketing is shallow.
So this is the multimodality we were speaking about, and these are some of the books that were put together. The listing launch optimized CRE campaigns that you can go in and do that are specific to CRE. Write a Google ad for this property, focusing on ROI, location advantage, and investment potential. Create a Facebook headline, primary text that grabs attention and drives submissions. A lot of times, the problem with, and then these quick wins also, which is really a key component too. Like, how do you get a quick win? This is another thing that we created here using the multimodal capabilities of AI. So these things are things that will accelerate your ability to leverage things that are not typically found in commercial. And that is a strong psychological awareness of how things like Google ads, Facebook ads, landing page outlines, and all those things operate. And then you get a really well put together structured prompt right here. And so those are, and it's tons of them in here from, I think it was 15 different categories, right? CRE team systems and AI-powered CRE authority blueprint, how do you get authority, your story framework. So those are things that with the multimodal possibilities, that is what you can do. So keep your eyes open, because Chat is also an open AI, and I'm sure it's built into the system, and I'll show you some things too that you can do multimodally that are really amazing. Like, for example, here's a I'm in Manus right now, and it's got the executive summary and all that good stuff, but I want to show you a competitive analysis, right? That you can run that will give you something like this. And this is what comes out. And the reason why this is so good for just starting when you're getting ready, like we ran one for our workspace, which is a Class A building here in Los Olas. And there's other people that have these workspaces. So we ran one for a friend of ours. She's the one who owns this and 5 other Class A buildings all throughout South Florida. And it gave her competitive analysis here. And it gave the just all this information, and it put it into a web type app that is really, really amazing. And so you see here competitive advantages she has, and the depth of research, and then a plan to solve that issue and problem. And again, like Jeff was speaking about, the prompt is super significant, right? So in here, I've got like 9 different prompts that do this really stuff that McKinsey and different top consulting groups would do. that will cost you $50,000 and all that is now available to everyone. For example, here's the prompt that I used to get that competitive analysis, right? So it gives me the executive summary, the traffic and audience intelligence, and these are all things that data scientists used to do for you. That would McKinsey would charge you $50K for. SEO strategy analysis and paid advertising intelligence, referral partnership ecosystem, strategic recommendations, formatting requirements, deliverables, what are you going to deliver it as? And it does all that research. And we tell it to use SimilarWeb because SimilarWeb is able to go much deeper. And they were just bought by Manus, and then Manus was bought by Meta, Zuckerberg's crew. So that's one of the tools that are out there that you can do that. And the same thing too, you can run this inside of ChatGPT. It just doesn't, or inside of Marketing Mentor or things like that. You can just pause the screen and just copy this text or whatever. And like I say, I've got like 9 more, but these are all the type of competitive analysis that I really believe that if you find what's already been working, in any marketplace, right? Because intelligence is transferable. So if you find that McKinsey consultants or any of these top consulting groups are charging $50K to get really good competitive analysis, that means there's something to that. And if you can create a prompt that would give you similar things, like even if you went to Marketing Mentor, right, and you said, hey, I want you to act as a top level McKinsey consultant and write me a prompt that would give me really good feedback on my competitors. Now, I won't be able to do what Manus does because it can't do that. But if you can get 80% there, because it does search the web, if you can get 80% there of what would cost you $50K and you're paying, negligible cost for, you need to do that. And that's the space that I'm speaking to a lot, primarily to land brokers right now, because I see there being an underutilization of horizontal verticals, if that makes any sense, of people that are over here and like what's working in dentistry, what's working in film, what's working in whatever it is, what's that first principle that's working within that industry that you can take over to your intelligence asset, which is CRE Marketing Hub, leverage that first principle to get benefits and results for yourself, right? And one of the top ones is is going to be competitive analysis, right? It's going to be these type of things, industry landscape and trend report. What are the trends that are going on in your market, in your vertical? What's the growth playbook for website redesign? Like say if it'll go out and look at all the designs of websites and say, now look at my website and tell me how I can grow. Bench performance analyzer, traffic channel, deep dive analyzer, like where's your traffic coming from? That's another thing that Manus has, is that it works with SimilarWeb, which knows where all traffic is coming from your competitors. So that's just one of the things.
Ross, are you saying that all of these tools are going to be naturally upgraded into CRE Marketing Hub?
No. Well, this is what I've kind of seen, Jeff, and it's this. Right now in CRE Marketing Hub, you have a new capability to create images. And I'm sure that most people aren't leveraging that, because if you're not keeping in track and in tune with what's happening under the hood, under the engine that runs it, which is OpenAI, is the engine that's in there, but it's just been put guardrails around so that it's kind of like a hydroelectric, right? The water's all focused on commercial, right? But the more harder you push that water, the faster that's going to go. So as OpenAI grows in its intelligence, and now we have quantum computing coming online, that Microsoft's leading the edge in, and just all this really great stuff, it's going to be more capabilities coming over. And I want to make sure that there's an understanding that there's greater things that can be done with your content. Like when you have an output, say, hey, can you turn this into an image that's attractive and compelling? And knowing the words about that industry. So if you're not from a marketing background, ask Chat about how can I market this like a top 1% marketer in commercial, so that I can really win. Make this flyer like a Realnex or Marcus and Millchap or some a top designer would make it that I could present this at. That's a new superpower that's under the hood right now, right? And as you see other things happening, like real soon, there's going to be garlic that comes out from OpenAI. They're working on 6.0, the personalization. So there's going to be new superpowers. So keep your mind open to how else can I do this outside of the wonderful analysis and the wonderful working of that. How can I present this in the marketplace in a way that's visual, that's more visually appealing and relevant, and that's also can take my voice or take a voice and communicate this in a way that's really compelling. So that's one of the top things that I would recommend. And I want to show you some examples of that. Like in here's what you call audiograms, right? And we made 100 of them for the CRE Marketing Hub.
An operating pro forma is a forward-looking financial projection of a property's income, expenses, and cash flow. Investors use it to evaluate performance before buying. The key idea? A pro forma is the property's financial forecast.
So for your juniors or people that are just coming in, this educational type content that's all done by AI. That's an AI voice. That's not.
Where's that going to be?
No, this is a folder. You guys got this.
The operating expense ratio.
It's all in a folder, and I think Mark was going to look at it when he got back.
Gotcha.
But
so the questions are coming in. It's like, how do I get that stuff? So it's all coming, and so that's why I just was confirming this stuff is sort of coming soon to the next generation, next release.
Right, it's going on the AI training tab.
Under the
That's
training
the tab
tab.
that you're going to be able to find it. Yep. And so yeah, this is all really good for
the questions. The people asking questions. It's all coming soon. It's not there yet, so don't think you're missing something. But
right.
We're getting a sneak peek at some incredible new tools that will be available.
I love that, man. It sounds better than Crazy Eddie. That's really good.
Prices are insane.
Yeah. I just saw you shaking your head in your hands just now. You said that. But these are now, this is what's really cool too, is these teach via social. So these are created by AI, of course, and this was not even possible, call it 4 months ago, 3 months ago. You know what I mean? But it teaches so well. And the cool thing about this too is that you can create these and then you can put them for your own, like all of these are CRE marketing like type stuff where people are going to need to know about this. This is the modalities I was saying. Some people are very visual, right? And there's 100 of these also, right? So some people are very visual and they can learn by looking at replacement cost valuation. So it just shows it and gives you the numbers and it gives you the ability to, quickly understand what this is. But for the sake of
really good. I'm going to have you show me how you did that next week.
Oh
Not
man, it's
today.
really good. What's that? Oh, you like that?
I'm going to have you show me how you created those. Those are neat.
As I was seeing you do your show your presentations, I was like, I know Jeff's gonna get it. I just knew it. I said, as soon as you see the multimodal, though, there's nothing to train us in our brains for what AI can do right now. So it sneaks up on people, and they don't know that it's possible, right? And then things like this. These are ads that were made for CRE Marketing Hub, but they're made from AI. And I remember when I first started, like here, seal the deal before anyone else. Beautiful. Looks like a top, become the expert they call before anyone else. You got back there with Bloomberg and CRE Marketing Hub, huh? Investors don't buy stories, they buy numbers. These are all ads that would have before just been out of touch and out of reach, because I've learned so many video jobs and things like that to where we would have to, it was just a beast getting the actors in, because I come from a media background, getting the people to getting the right cameras, getting the right lighting and all those things. But all of that is very much more readily available to us because of the multimodality of AI today, right? And so that's the kind of things that if you start looking into the multimodal nature, and then of course you have all these different frameworks frameworks, I live and die by
In commercial
frameworks.
real estate, most brokerages don't have a capability problem. They have a clarity problem. They do good work, close deals, and know their market, but their message sounds like everyone else's. The CRE brand story framework exists to fix that. This system uses
And so you get a quick overview, right? And there's going to be 15 of these different ones. And then you get a quick win, which is where this comes in, and it's short to the point, so you're not spending all day. I'm not a big person on and then you get an ebook that you can print out, and there's 15 different workflows that's included in this. And so if you look at back to the original folder here, yeah, there's all these different things: property marketing automation, CRE brand story, CRE deal generator, AI prospecting, power prompts. And all of these are meant to give you that audio, that PDF downloadable book, and a quick win within those. So those are going to be up on there. Now, when it came to, let's see here. I'll just show you another multimodal adventure that we got over here. This is a lady from our office that we're at. She works in the front. I took a picture of her with my iPhone, 2 pictures, right? This is 1. And this is 2. She was not having a great hair day, but I said, don't worry about it. AI's got you. And from that, I was able to generate all of these pictures.
Oh,
of
wow.
her. Looks
Wow.
just like her, right? And then this is another girl from the same office that I'm in our office out there. And we
So-
had John. Some of you guys know John O'Shea.
Models are going to be out of a job.
Oh man, models and
Turn your secretary into a model.
that's right. And this was for a new book that I'm coming out with, the Realtors Visual AI prompt book that gives you all kinds of prompts that I use to be able to make these visual things. And that's getting reformatted right now by my production person. But those are book covers that I was playing around with. Now, this is John O'Shea, super cool dude. He came down from Philadelphia, and he's one of our clients now. This is not him. These are all come from one picture that I took of John. And then I did my little AI magic and prompting and multimodality. And now he's looking like the super cool dude 5000. He is a cool dude, but he doesn't walk around in shorts. He's more of a, but some of them, motorcycle. I don't know if he rides a motorbike or not. But the cool thing about these is that it's that framework by which you can use these. We're going to use these for social media, and we're going to help, tell stories that are relevant to anything that he's doing in Philly. But you can do all those. And there's this beautiful woman. Oh my goodness. That's my wife, Tracy Jones. Yeah. And so that's what's possible with these things now. And there's just so many things that are blowing up around the periphery that I would love to see people that are in the CRE space to take advantage of, and so that I can, if anybody has something they want to have a image made of, I can kind of show you a quick example of how that can be done.
So yeah, some of the comments coming in is that you're just blowing people's minds right now. So this is amazing stuff. And
You want to talk a little bit about what AI you use to create those?
Yeah, one of my favorites right now is Higgsfield. Higgsfield is awesome because
Say that again.
Higgsfield, right here, Higgsfield.ai, is because it allows you to do things like, most of these work through APIs, right? Like it allows you to do videos. Like I did videos like this, and for land, guys driving and tell stories with a lot of storytelling stuff. Did some for ABA therapy, for autism for kids, and just really cool stuff. And put my wife on a TED Talk stage. And
I take it it's not free.
No, it's not. But I tell you one thing. If you've ever run a photo shoot or a video shoot, oh my
we're not free either.
Oh man, it's brutal. And you only get like 1 or 2 shots out. But this right here, it allows you to do video, images, and then you can just go to Gemini and do it for free. If you're a real cheap person, or just like you're financially fiscal, you go to Gemini. That's what we're on right now. And you can type in a prompt, like I can say, let me see here. I can say, make a Facebook ad for, nope, changed my mind on that. I would say make a compelling, always throw that word in there. Make a compelling Facebook ad for the CRE Marketing Hub conference. Oh, okay. We're going to do it for broker. Facebook ad for a commercial
For
broker.
Todd Aker.
Todd Aker. Okay, give me that name.
Todd's been one of our fans here over the past few weeks. Todd, Akers, the
I'm
landman.
trying to stay connected.
K-E-R-S.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Okay.
what you're in Charlotte, or what city are you? I forget.
Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Maybe
Okay.
that'll help.
A commercial broker in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, you see how I did that? I held my function key down. That's AI also, and I'm able to talk and it do that. Make a compelling Facebook ad for Todd Akers, a commercial broker in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Todd, what's your specialty? What's your vertical you're working on? What's your market?
My asset class I specialize in is land
Okay.
for commercial, for development, not agricultural land.
Okay. His focus is on land for development. Make it compelling and premium. Okay. So now these are the two different gears you can shift. I like to do thinking, and I like to do, when it comes to tools, I can click it up here, but you can also click it here, create an image, right? Yeah. So I can do that. Now, one of the things that you have to do also, you might want to, after it's always a little bit of iteration that goes on once you get it. But what's really cool is you can take here, this plus button, and you can upload an image of Todd. If I had an image of Todd, I'd put it in there, right? And then it tells what it's going to do. And then this is the second one. I can say stop. Image. So I told it to make a compelling Facebook ad, and so it started doing that. So I need to put in there specifically image. And now it says here, loading Nano Banana Pro. And then I love this part here. I love seeing it thinking, because sometimes you can really get the strategic angles that it takes by watching how it's processing it. Todd Akers, commercial land development. Beautiful, right? And then you can tell it, I can say remove the icon and the A, and you can do that. And then you just work with them. And I've been doing it for so long that it's like very kind of just second nature for me. But that's what's possible right now. If you want to have, within the CRE Marketing Hub, there's tons of images that are already created and made. But if you need something on the fly, something real quick, you know what I mean? There you go. And it follows the rules of photography too. And also we have Social Fuel. If you go to socialfuel.ai, we have, not socialfuel.ai, but Social Fuel. And the social medias that's coming to, we're doing a partnership of some sort, so we're going to have that out for you. It's coming to CRE Marketing Hub. Okay, so Todd Akers, what do you think about this?
I like that. That looks really nice. I like the city, and then it shows some land right there that can be developed. I like it.
That's beautiful. Can you, let's see here, make it educational? It's educational. If you can spell it right, it actually helps. All right. So that's another thing too, like those 100 ones that we made for that, and 100 audiograms and all that. Education, when you educate, that is the best marketing that you can do. Education and demonstration. So when you demonstrate that you know what you're doing and you're educating the marketplace, that puts you at a whole different level when it comes to your competing people. And if you don't like getting in front of that mic, that's it. So you see this right here now? Infrastructure access, road frontage, traffic counts, highway. So this is something you can do with your tools too. Like say if you got a thing and you want to give the egress and ingress and egress or whatever, you can just have it write that out right there. Market feasibility vision, demand, retail, office, mixed use, maximizing ROI. So it takes it from that. I would start from the very beginning though, with a person like yourself, Todd, and find out what your goals are, and then we'll write prompts and everything from that very direction so that everything's aligned and you're not just kind of swinging at the wind. But it's all about how you started. And so you remember that, and you remember your manners, you remember your, and every time you're doing this work in there, and then try to do it inside of your, you can make those same similar type images, because once this came out from Gemini, guess what ChatGPT did? ChatGPT said, we make images awesome too. And so with their new image upgrade, that's what they did. And you can turn off my screen sharing now. I think I burnt everybody out. You can turn off my screen sharing. I don't want to blow up too many brains. But what it did was they came out with a 1.5, their image generator. Their image generator used to be horrible, but now it's amazing. And it's really right there with you know, Gemini's one. And I just think that's just so cool. And so that's what so I would encourage everybody to get into something that's going to really make you stand out. And doing it with Canva is great if you've got a good design team, and all those designs that are in there are really good designs. But if you are in a pinch and it's a skill that you need to start developing, how do I become multimodal in my approach to my marketing, to my delivery, to my presentation of myself, to my personal brand? You really start going in that direction, there's no way you can lose. And that's going to be the differentiator. Get your humanity out there as an educator, as a person who knows what they're talking about, get you some good pictures. AI can help with that, because it's really hard. People get insecure in front of the camera. I'm a photographer, I take pictures, but now it's so good because I can just take 1 or 2 pictures and I can get the vision that I want for that person to accelerate their market dominance rather than kind of looking like everybody else. Because it's great to have access to hyper intelligence where you're able to get the numbers and all those things together so fast. And when you combine that with your ability to present that to the marketplace, that's when you win.
That's fantastic.
Everything.
That's great stuff, Ross. Thanks so much. I mean, that was just a showcase of what's to come. A lot of great things to come, and and there's more beyond that. So this is that's just what's in sight of what's to come, not what's beyond that. Jeff, did you have an OM you wanted to show, sort of the final stage?
What I think I'll do is show you the assignment that we're going to do next week.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Then we'll wrap up. So let's take 15 more minutes if everyone can bear with us. I know some people needed to jump, but let's. I know you got something great to share, so I'm going to make you the presenter one more time, and we'll wrap up with that. There you go.
All right. Move things around here. All right, so what we're going to do next week, we'll actually go through and do this. I'll just give you an idea of the assignment. And if you haven't signed up, maybe you'll decide to sign up. Meet us in Houston. So I actually had AI create a hypothetical property for me so that I could do some interesting things with it. So it's called Meridian Corporate Center. The idea is to be able to win a listing, to be able to create a memorandum for this property. So scenario says Granite Peak Capital owns Meridian Corporate Center, Class A suburban office building in Fairfield County, Connecticut. And this property is based on properties in Fairfield County, Connecticut, which is important because we want to do an analysis to see if the rents and comps and so forth make sense for this property by using realistic data. So they've decided to sell and are interviewing brokers to market the property. you're competing for the listing. So we're going to use CRE Marketing Hub Pro to research, develop assumptions, and create a professional offering memorandum. So what Granite Peaks wants to see, of course, is professional offering memorandum, market-supported pricing, a credible 10-year pro forma, investment returns analysis, key selling points and thesis, marketing materials, and then I added optional, just in case somebody wants to play around with it, especially those that are moving faster through the exercise. You could look at the impact of adding a loan to the investment return. You can do some sensitivity analysis. I guess you could also do a waterfall like I showed you, or all kinds of other stuff. So guidelines are to use CRE Marketing Hub to research market conditions and build your analysis. Your assumptions should, of course, be reasonable. Buyers will scrutinize your projections. Assume a 10-year holding period, unleveraged analysis, at least to start off with. Suggested prompts are provided to help you work with CRE Marketing Hub. So the actual prompts that'll be on a file that I'll make available to people are much more detailed. This is just to give you a highlight of what the prompts will look like that will feed in. There's 7 different prompts here. We'll start off with market research, to ask about current rents and vacancy rates, TI allowances, et cetera, in that market. We'll look at comparable sales in the market, so we can identify what are the comparables that are most comparable, and then we'll feed it the actual rent roll, so we can do a lease rollover analysis, see what the risks are, and of course we're going to have to know what to assume about market rent when those leases roll over. That'll lead us to a 10-year pro forma. Then we'll look at the recommended offering price for the property, and then ask for some investment highlights. Now we're moving into the marketing mode, as well as creating that offering memorandum. But we're also going to complete, it doesn't say it here, but we're going to make some flyers and some other stuff, like take that offering memorandum and turn it into a 1-page flyer that you could use, a 2-page. You can, as we kind of saw from what Ross was talking about, all kinds of possibilities. Even creating a video, right? Instead of just a brochure. And then finally, the kind of data that I'm going to provide this based on this hypothetical property, but you can bring your own data. So you can have the property information, the building specs, the size and location and occupancy and so forth. You're going to have a rent roll. You're going to have some comparable sales in the area, and then your historical operating statements. And then, like I said before, you'll have a list of 10, or I think 7 more detailed prompts, and feed it into CRE Marketing Hub, and we'll step by step go through this analysis with this data, ultimately leading us to that offering memorandum and asking for some flyers and some other stuff. And again, you can do this then with your own data and just see how it works out, and that's the whole idea of the lab.
Nice.
That's gonna be fantastic. And we've got, what, 5 of them, Jeff? I mean, 5. This is the one lab. This is one session out of.
This is one of the labs. Yeah, this is just one of the labs. We'll have like an hour and a half for each lab, like about a half an hour of you being able to play with the data that we make available, which you can continue to work with, or if you bring your own data, you can work on that, and then we'll have facilitators walking around the room and answering questions and trying to help you along if you're working with your own data.
If you're coming and get ready to work, you're going back to school. So Dr. Fisher's going to put you through.
Well, I think I was in school today. I learned a lot from Ross. So
Awesome.
That was going to school for sure. So thank you.
Jeff, you left one thing out.
Any questions? Any questions from the audience, or any final comments you guys have? That was just that's a lot to digest. So thank you so much for your time and sharing. And thank you everyone in the audience and online who will be video recording, watching this. Yeah, an amazingly powerful tool among sort of a growing universe of powerful tools that are helping shape the next generation of commercial real estate services and how they're going to be delivered. So it's critical to stay on the leading edge of it, to be the one that's gobbling up market share, because as you can see, one person is going to be able to do the work of 100 or 1,000. So if you're not the one harnessing it, taking advantage of it, somebody else is, and they're going to be impressing clients because this is
I don't
just
see how you can be efficient in this day and age without using AI.
That's right.
I just don't see how you can do it. How could you possibly compete with somebody that's using all the stuff that we've been talking about?
That's right.
And that's a good place to stop.
absolutely. Thanks for the superpowers, Ross. Thanks, Jeff.
All right.
Look forward to seeing you both next week.
All right,
Thanks, everyone.
folks. Talk soon. Yeah, bye-bye.